paying more taxes makes us all better off?
We've come out of the recession and we're growing. That's good. But the growth is going to folks at the top end, big financial institutions, some of the biggest corporations, wealthy individuals. We need to make sure that they are paying their fair share and then plow those extra tax dollars into these programs. And you know what? If we do, the very people that are going to pay a little bit more, the very institutions that will pay a little bit more, are actually going to do a lot better.
But former GOP presidential candidate Steve Forbes says, wait a second, it's just the opposite. Raising taxes does not help anyone. Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth MacDonald in for David Asman this week, and welcome to Forbes on Fox. Here this week, too, John Tamny, Carrie Sheffield, Bill Baldwin, and Bruce Japsen. So, Steve, Mr. Kaine's comment, raising taxes helps everyone. What do you think of that?
He must be auditioning to be a comedy writer. It's preposterous, laughable. If raising taxes helped, we would have a booming economy today. Obama did it. Japan and Western Europe are mired in stagnation because they keep raising taxes. Taxes are a burden on productive work, risk-taking success. You raise the burden, you get less of it. And the idea, Lizzie, that these people like Tim Kaine or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton can manage people's money better than the people or business people can, again, is another laugh line.
Yeah, Bruce, to Steve's point, how come government spending is nowhere to be found in the Democrats' argument? And, you know, we've got empty federal office buildings across the country, costing the U.S. government $20 billion a year just to maintain. Where's the government spending part of this?
Well, here's the deal. If we could direct the taxes and the revenue toward rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, then I think the rich would go along with it because their Teslas would hit fewer potholes, and the roads and so forth are costing us billions of dollars. So if people know that they're getting a good value for their tax dollar, I don't think they'll mind as much.
John, given what Bruce is saying, I mean, already IRS data show that the top 20% pay 84% of the federal tax revenues. Top 1% is about half of the federal tax revenues. So what do you make of that?
Wow. How can people, serious national candidates, make such silly statements? An economy is a collection of individuals. So explain to me how individuals can be made better off and more prosperous if more of their income on an annual basis is confiscated by the federal government. Let's not forget that companies and jobs result from investment. Investment results from disposable income that is not consumed. If you tax away more of the income, there's less investment, less companies, less jobs.
Bill, what do you think of John's comments there?
He's got some good points, and it certainly does not astound me that Steve Forbes is unenthusiastic about tax increases. But here's the problem, Steve. People love their entitlements. They don't want to give them up. We can either pay for these entitlements now in cash, or we can run deficits forever and become ever more subservient financially to the frugal and prosperous people of China. You really want that for your future.
Bill, you just took on Steve, but we got to get Carrie in here. Here's what the government says. 60% of U.S. households get more in the way of government benefits, and they pay into the system in taxes. So what do you make of that?
We need households to be more productive. We need more people in the workforce. We need more jobs. And unfortunately, Bill, you're a wise guy, but this time you got to get a timeout in the corner because we need job creation. And when we tax businesses, we get fewer jobs that are created. Tim Kaine is positively Orwellian here. I mean, if high taxes meant better outcomes for people, Europe would be a paradise. But unfortunately, Europeans, if you're a woman in Denmark and you move to America, your life will be better off here in America. Not to mention the fact that NATO, our European allies, most of them, those countries, they don't pay their fair share because they can't afford it because of their high taxes. Yeah, and we are subsidizing them. We're richer, and we pay for more defense because we have so much income because our taxes are lower.
Right. So Hillary Clinton's answer to the economy, Steve, is a host of a range of new taxes on the economy. Can we afford all of our programs, including our tax hikes?
Well, the programs are going to hurt the economy, but the tax hikes are going to hurt them even more. She even wants to have a soda tax. How about a tax on Democrats making silly statements? That would raise a whole boatload of revenue. As for Bill's thing on entitlements, having the government collect money now for future entitlements, Bill, I've got news for you. Every dollar that comes in for Social Security and Medicare is spent now, not put aside for the future. Those trust funds are a sham. There's nothing in there but non-marketable IOUs.
What do you think, Bruce?
Well, I follow on what Steve said. I mean, if you look at the other guy running for President Trump, he wants to borrow more. And so if to rebuild the infrastructure or, build his wall or build a mosquito net for Zika virus, who knows what he wants to do. But he's talking about borrowing more. And I think that, if you're going to raise taxes a little bit on the rich, that's probably a better answer than borrowing more. I don't know that either candidate are addressing the deficit and the debt.
Yeah, but John, we've been raising taxes, all sorts of different taxes on the upper brackets, and we still have really flatlining U.S. economic growth. Isn't there something going on here with both of these sides of the equation?
Well, the something going on is that we do not have a deficit problem. How on earth Bill Baldwin can say we have a deficit problem when the federal government takes in well over $3 trillion a year boggles the mind. What we have is a spending problem. And the spending problem is the real tax on the American people because it involves Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi. And yes, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton allocating the economy's resources rather than Jeff Bezos, rather than Warren Buffett, rather than Bill Gates. Right. You want to reduce the intake precisely because you want lower deficits.
And Bill, why is it that that part of the equation is never in the Democrats' argument, what John Tamny just said?
He's right about excessive government spending. He's wrong about the beauty of deficits. We're the brokest nation on earth. We're 19 trillion underwater. I'm willing to meet Steve Forbes halfway. I'll go for your flat tax as long as you raise the rate just enough to balance the budget.
Carrie, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Milton Friedman was right several years ago when he said it would be better for the economy to have a $1 trillion budget that's in deficit than a $2 trillion budget that is balanced. Again, it's a drain on resources on the economy.
Yeah, and Carrie, it hasn't really been working, this whole idea of taxing the upper brackets. I mean, the upper brackets are the one that are footing the bill here. Again, the top fifth pay 84% of the federal tax revenues. That's a lot.
Yes, I mean, the most innovative people are the ones that we punish the most. It's unfortunate. We want more innovation. We need to be rewarding the innovation instead of taxing it and penalizing it. And you know what? Forget Trump, forget Clinton. Go for Gary Johnson or Evan McMullen. Yeah. I think those people both have more sense.
And by the way, the rich aren't going to be the only one paying taxes. She has not ruled out categorically having payroll tax increases and taxing the middle class. She just says it's a desirable goal not to tax them more. You know what that means in politics.
John Tamny, final point. I mean, if you want to pay for Hillary's programs, you really do have to tax the middle class, right?
Well, no, you don't. I mean, that's the thing. Rich country, if we were a broke nation, we couldn't borrow so easily. The problem is we raise too much in revenues, and that makes it attractive for investors to buy our treasuries. If we reduced the government's inflow, we would have reduced deficits. It's a paradoxical truth, but it's nonetheless true.
A paradoxical truth that is, of course, true. Thank you, John Tamny. Really appreciate it. And the rest of the gang, you've been terrific.